Have you ever wondered how to actually monetize your passions? Well, today we sit down with an old friend from college to break down exactly how he did it. We're going to be diving into the specific strategies, the mindset shifts, and the hard realizations it took to get him to where he is now. Welcome to First Pitch.
All right, guys, episode 10. We have a special guest. I know it's you guys are usually used to seeing me and Rose, but we're gonna be doing this a lot more. But we have Aiden Leone. It's Leon, right? I just want to make sure I'm
Yes,
saying that right.
yes,
Okay,
Leon.
cool. So he was in me and Alex's fraternity, Sigma Chi at the University of Utah. But he kind of strayed away from the typical finance college route and he wanted to start his own company. So we're going to get into that a little bit today. So, Aiden, without further ado, let's start with the big one. Let's kind of get into what your business model is, because I'm not going to spoil that for who's listening. So you were kind of on the finance track originally. So I feel like that's usually seen as the safe and lucrative route among your peers in general. So, what was the exact kind of realization that made you say, "No, I'm going to be building a barbershop instead"?
Yeah, so the exact realization of when I decided I wanted to run my own business came from my sophomore year in college. The summer when I had an internship. I'm currently going into my senior year now, so been working on this for just about a year now. Uh, and yeah, I was in this internship with private equity where I was getting to look at a lot of deals, kind of explore all these different entrepreneurs with ideas, trying to raise capital for their businesses. When every single Thursday, once a week, our company would bring in guest speakers to talk about different career paths. And some of those would be accounting to entrepreneurship to investment banking, along with like real estate and like much more. The entrepreneur came in and he had started an accounting firm. He was kind of doing the accounting route, but didn't like crunching the numbers and wanted to do more of the business side of it, where he was handling pretty much everything that came with running a business. And he said, I just took the leap, and now his accounting firm's worth $100 million. So to me, that was really eye opening
Nuts.
that he just jumped into that and took that leap. But yeah, once he said that, it just clicked for me that okay, maybe this is the story I need to hear right now.
Mhm.
I'm gonna kind of walk away from this finance branch and start my own branch, which is Leone's Barbershop, a mobile barbershop that operates on a college campus.
That's so sick, dude. Such a cool idea. So niche,
Mm.
I think there's definitely demand for it. I was recently starting it in a student government position, and you see how much students really need access to basic services like getting their hair cut, right? And so I was actually curious, Aiden, if you could talk a little bit about how that idea came about. A lot of aspiring entrepreneurs really struggle with idea generation and like knowing what's the right idea, what idea should I use to start my business? So for you, was it something you always kind of had in the back of your mind that even after you had this conversation or you heard this speech, or did it kind of come right after that time, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so I'm gonna take you back to COVID time because my idea came strictly from passion. During COVID, my barber had moved to Miami, so me and my little brother didn't have a barber to go to. And my mom started taking us to her hairstylist, and she did not specialize in men's hair, didn't know what she was doing. And we weren't getting satisfied with the haircuts we were leaving that shop with. So we started procrastinating our haircuts, to which my mom had enough of it and brought home some clippers one day and said, okay, you're gonna have to figure this out yourself. From then, I gave my little brother the worst haircut ever. Like, I messed up a buzz cut, which is hard to do, and I pushed his hairline like way too far to the left. But as much fun as I was having, I was like, man, I really want to get good at this. Like, this is a pretty cool skill to have. And so I started watching YouTube videos, to then cutting up the high school, to then mentoring a trainer in the barbering field who grew his social media to like 1.5 million followers. And when I saw what he was doing with barbering and how successful he was becoming, I thought, okay, this is definitely a trade that I could get into, but I want to go more the college route. So I took the skill of barbering to college and networked through barbering, whether that was, leaving my door open at the dorms, blasting a speaker where people would walk by and, I set up the chair in the middle of the room where everyone could see this guy getting a haircut. They would come in and be like, wait, like, you're the barber. Like, could I get a haircut next? And just like that, it was the easiest way to connect with my peers pretty much and make those connections. And for someone struggling to like think of ideas, I would say it just comes down to passion. Like figure out what you're passionate about and try to monetize it that way, because if you're doing what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. So kind of going off that note, so with this whole barbershop transition thing, what did your friends and family kind of say when you were moving away from that traditional path? And did you face any pushback or backlash at all? What kind of happened with that?
Yeah, so my family was very supportive of my decision of, um, first of all, going to college. My mom had asked me a serious question where she sat me down and said, hey, I see you're very passionate about cutting hair. Do you really want to go to college, or would you rather go to trade school and then become a barber? I told her, as much as I loved cutting hair, like, I want to go to college. My dad was for college as well, and it was more of they saw college as a way for me to be social than get an education. They had taken away a lot from the connections they had made at college, which is why that was pretty much pushed on me. But I knew I wanted to go to college from the get-go, even though I had this barbering background. Um, and when I told them I'm gonna start this barbershop instead of go, the finance route, my mom was super supportive. She was like, "Oh, this is great. Like, this is what you're passionate about. Um, I love that you're doing, you're incorporating both college and your passion." So she was super excited about that. My dad was a little more serious about it, but as he should, he kind of laid out, okay, so what's your plan of action? How are you going to do this? Who are you going to, connect with to get this done? And I laid out the whole plan. I actually pitched to him the whole idea where he was willing to fund a little bit of my project, to where he's now an investor. And it's cool seeing my dad kind of have a part in my business as well,
Mhm.
because he worked so hard after college building up a brand for himself within his job, to where he was able to leave his job and start his own business as well. So he's always had that entrepreneurial side of him, which I definitely get a lot of my traits from. But he always questions, not necessarily questions my decisions, but questions my plan of, okay, if this happens, what's going to be next? And that's just the safest route of entrepreneurship. So
Mhm.
the support of them has been great. But from a friend side, it was actually completely opposite. So a lot of people were kind of questioning, okay, like, you're going into barbering, like, that's cool. Like, haha, won't believe it until I see it, right? And I remember I got real serious about it when I started posting on social media, because everyone could see, the videos I was posting of me like building out this trailer from scratch. And I had a couple friends hit me up and say, "Is this seriously like what you're doing? Are you really going into the barbering field?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I am." Like, you just wait and see this, barbershop come into a reality and be on campus. Give me like 3 months. And they're like, all right, dude, like, best of luck. So my friends were supportive in certain ways, but a little questionable at first, where they thought it was just an idea, but once they saw the idea becoming like more of a reality, they were extremely supportive. And
Mhm.
they go to the shop all the time to get a haircut, so it's great to have their support as well.
Yeah, that's super cool, bro. It's great to have, and it's very important to have people who believe in you, right? And of course, you'll kind of get some who are skeptical, like you mentioned, but that's just a part of being an entrepreneur is you kind of have to overcome that and prove people wrong, honestly, which is pretty satisfying once you do. But I wanted you to talk a little bit more about that. Aside from family and friends, how you utilized support from the university itself and mentors there, because that's a big part of it too, is the institution you're working with and how they support you is big, right? One thing Brad and I talk a lot about is actually, I think one of our first podcast episodes was the subject was how student entrepreneurs can take advantage of college to like in their business, right? There's a big, in my opinion, this is my take, a misconception that if you want to start a business, you should drop out of college, you shouldn't go to college, right? And maybe for some people that is the case, like that's what's better for them. But we believe that college and the university can offer a lot of great resources to you as a founder. It can actually uplift you and give you advantages that kids who aren't in college don't have, right? So if you want to talk a little bit about how the university itself and some of the maybe your courses or mentors there helps you along the way.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the University of Utah is the reason my business is fully functional. So if it wasn't for the support of the university, I wouldn't be where I am today. And you bring up a great point of a lot of like this whole conspiracy of, oh, if I want to make it big, I have to drop out of college. And it goes back to my point of my parents forced me to they didn't force me to go to college, but they pushed it on me to go to college strictly for more of a connection, building, connections, meeting all these new people. And without those connections, you tend to have a disadvantage, uh, for especially like what you want to go into. I've met a lot of people in different fields, um, that we can relate to because we're entrepreneurs and we can collaborate with each other to build more exposure for our brands. But at the University of Utah, my freshman year teacher, Kathy Hajib, she is the best. She became my mentor. I pretty much sat in a class my freshman year, loved what she had to say. And at this point, I was looking in the hair product industry. I'd built up like this whole 6-page report of how I'm going to build this natural hair product for men. And she loved the idea. She pushed it kind of on me to get out there, but I never really took that step. It was more of an assignment for me. Then come my junior year, I emailed her back after 2 years of not talking to her at all. And she loved the idea, hopped on a Zoom with me and got me connected to all the people I needed in the University of Utah's department. So it was really nice that, she was able to go out of her way and help me for those reasons, because she connected me to the right department, which then led to like contract deals to which, didn't go well at first. I wasn't liking the deal I was going to get and wasn't thinking of signing on it. So I hopped on a call with Kathy again and told her pretty much, hey, this is the deal I'm given. Like, what would you do in this situation? And she was like, this is BS. Like, you're a student at this school. You should be getting, a way better deal than what they're trying to uh, give you in this contract. And so she was like, give me their numbers and contact information, and I'm going to hop on a call with them. And so she did, and she came back within 2 days saying, all right, here's your new contract. And it was like perfect to exactly how I had envisioned the business being. And it was great. So, using your resources, especially at a university, you're paying for not only the education, but also the connections and these little loopholes that, you can work your way in with a little bit of uh, sales skills and just making that connection with not only professors, but also students.
Right. And then, so what's the biggest risk of not pivoting when your gut tells you to, do you think?
Yeah. So not pivoting when your gut tells you to. Um, a lot of people say, you know, if you miss an opportunity, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great point where if you don't go with your gut on what you want to do with your business and where you see your business down the line, then you're going to regret it down the line when you're not working for yourself or you're, not in the place you want to be. And it's great being 21 years old and being able to take all the risks that I can. I mean, I'm extremely fortunate to have my college paid for and my housing paid for. So I have no expenses except for, paying for gas, any sort of stuff that breaks down. But if all goes like south, I have nothing to lose. I don't have a mortgage on a house. I don't have a job I'm currently working. I'm young. I've still got a year left in school. So I'm taking as much risk as I can because there really is nothing for me to lose. And that's the biggest mistake that a lot of people think is, oh, I'm going to graduate college and then start my business, or I'm going to have this backup. But realistically, that backup isn't actually a backup. It's a distraction from what you're trying to do. So I would go all in on the business as young as you are. If you're, even in high school or even in college, you have nothing to lose except pretty much how you view yourself. And I think when you start a business, the way you view yourself changes a lot for, beneficial reasons.
Yeah, exactly. It's a point that we've hitting on a lot recently, Brad and I, that we continue to build upon is entrepreneurship to a lot of people is this plan A that if it doesn't work out, like they're screwed, right? It's like it's all or nothing. But realistically, if you're going into entrepreneurship, you gain skills that are much more, in my opinion, impressive and applicable to a lot of positions and jobs that you can't get simply by just going through with your degree, right? Those are definitely technical skills that you can learn in finance or whatever, but being an entrepreneur, you learn every part of business, sales, marketing, you
Right.
learn like how to build a brand, right? You have to talk with customers, get validation. It's just so much that goes into a business that after, even if you fail as an entrepreneur, you've gained so many skills that set you up that you could hop right back into a job that you'd probably be more likely to get now than you would have if you just did your degree, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
Brad and I had an experience about this. We shared with you before, but where we were at this conference for Utah Student Tech Week, and one of the partners there and one of the student founders had both relayed this point of, for a lot of you who are scared to go all in, recognize that if you go into entrepreneurship and it doesn't work out, or if it does work out, you're more likely to get a better position at a VC than if you just go the finance route, because you have this perspective as a founder that a lot of students just don't have.
Yep.
And you're more likely to get into a better position as well. And so that's why I tell people, like, just go in on entrepreneurship. If that's what you want to do, right? If that's what you're passionate about, just do it, because if it fails, like, you're still set up in such a better position,
So many life skills in general. It's insane.
And kind of adding on to that, a little unknown fact within the finance industry: if you are the president of your club, a CEO of some business, and you're applying to any sort of job, you automatically, like 9 out of 10 times, get pushed to the second round just because you have that label of leadership, you have the skills. They love seeing that. Even if it was a failed business, it's a great story to tell. So for anyone who's young and wanting to take a risk, yeah, I don't like having the thought in my head, oh, there's always a plan B, but hey, if everything goes south, at least I got a great story to tell.
Right. Exactly. So how big do you want this to be? Are you gonna scale the social media, or get as many locations as you can? Like how big do you want this to be?
Yeah, so I view my business in a venture capitalism, private equity viewpoint. I like to look through the lens of that because that's what I'm most qualified in and, enjoy in the finance realm. So my goal is to scale this business to as many colleges as I can. End goal is 200 plus trailers, where it's either a franchise model or a model that fits, myself, where I can run everything, but I'm hiring specific people to run specific jobs. And with my Instagram, obviously that's my brand, right? So building my brand as much as I could. The goal is 2,500 followers by the start of this fall, and then by the end of next year, 5,000, and then end of the next year, 10,000. So where it just keeps growing and growing. That's the real goal. But when it comes to the trailers and building that out, it's definitely a lot harder than I thought.
Right.
I've been cold calling colleges, sending emails, trying to, figure out what's the best email to send where I get the highest percentage of a return email or even a call, using AI in that way. And it's been rough, but if I can secure one contract this summer to start next fall, that would be great for me and especially my business. I mean, I'm a mobile business, but I'm open to like switching over to brick and mortar if that's what these colleges are going to want. So it's more so not really having a set um like a set plan of, okay, this is what each university is going to have. Each university is going to have like a mobile trailer, right? It's
Right.
more so each university is going to have Leones. And that's kind of my end goal, is to just get Leones, whether that's brick and mortar or a mobile trailer, onto 200 plus colleges.
That's
Yeah.
sick. Are you gonna send one down to BYU?
Yeah, so I reached out to BYU, and I guess they already have a barbershop that no one knows about because I have a couple friends at BYU, and they were like, I didn't know we had a barbershop, but they claim they have a barbershop. So, you know, to each his own, right? And then Utah State, they would be a cool one to get to as well, as like UVU, Weber, just all the Utah schools would be awesome.
Totally. Do you feel like there's higher demand with some of the college town based schools, or is it does not really matter based on like what the demographic of the school is like? Because Utah, I wouldn't necessarily consider us a college town. We're more right, kids. We're kind of in a bigger city, right? But like Provo's a college town, Logan's a college town. Like, do you feel like that's gonna be a more attractive market for you going forward?
Yeah, so the market I kind of look at is population of students.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily town, and
Mm.
that's the best for me, is like, doesn't matter what's outside of the school. For me, it's what's inside of the school, because if I'm able to provide a service of, a haircut, which many people need nowadays, it's a service that isn't offered at your doorstep. Even if I can provide that where it is as close, to your doorstep as possible, being on campus where students who come out of state don't have cars, students that, you know, use mobile transportation or like city transportation, or even have to Uber off campus where it's, a little more expensive. If I can bring that service to them that they need for a reasonable price, it doesn't really matter what's around the area, because they're going to pick that service every single time just because of the convenience of it. And that's what my business is. It's convenience and quality, for the best price you can buy.
That's so sick, dude. No, I love that model. Let me know if you ever want to come down to UT and set one up down here.
Be reaching out.
Yes, sir. Um, so kind of getting towards the end here, I just want to know, what kind of advice would you give to someone that's kind of in your age group that's not exactly enjoying where, their trajectory is going, or maybe they don't even want to, do a career and they want to go full force in the whole entrepreneurship thing. What would you say to that person, even if that's you, maybe even 2 years ago? What would you say?
Yeah. Uh, I would say there's definitely that gut feeling of, what will other people think of my decision? How will I be viewed from my friends? What will my family think of it? And a lot of people also don't know exactly what they want to do with an entrepreneurship, but they know they want to be a CEO.
Mm-hmm.
So starting with that part of figuring out what you want to do, I would grab a journal, write down 3 of your passions, and figure out, okay, which one do I know a lot about? Which one am I confident I can make money in? And which one can I, hop on an interview and tell a really cool story about? So whenever you find that passion, I would then branch out, okay, how can I make money through this? For me, it started with swim lessons, right? I was a national swimmer, nationally ranked swimmer within the US, and I built a swim lesson business where I thought of it as, okay, this is great for making money on the side. My little brother, he's actually going the whole entrepreneur route through swim lessons because he's, seen the money and the service of that. And he's starting to build out his own like huge uh private swim lesson company. So if you're kind of stuck on that idea of what you want to do, I would recommend just doing that journaling exercise. And for someone who's ready to take that leap, go all in so you don't regret it in a year when you're sitting in a classroom or sitting in an office building or a cubicle with AC, working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., doing the same thing over and over again. What I will say is my days are hectic, but so much fun. I don't have a planned schedule of when I work. I'm my own boss. Whether that's I'm on the clock all the time or, I'm having a good weekend somewhere. So figure out how to make money through something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. If you still struggle with that, I would just say grab your nuts and do it.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. I have one last question for you, and then if Brad, if you want to ask anything else to finish out, totally welcome to. You just shared how you like these are some of these lessons that you've learned in the past couple of years that the advice you would give to an entrepreneur now. I want to ask a more vulnerable question, if and answer it to the degree you're comfortable. But what's a lesson you feel like you're learning right now that you're in the process of, something that is challenging you, whether that's patience or how to improve sales or I don't know, just whatever it is, because entrepreneurship, it's up and down. You're always constantly learning a new lesson. And so what do you feel like right now is a lesson that you're learning?
Yeah, a lesson right now that I'm learning is definitely not taking no for an answer. I call these colleges all the time. They're like, sorry, I don't know what department I can direct you in. Have a good day. And I'm like, okay, well, hold on. Like, this is the department I've worked with at the U. How can we find a department over there? For example, I hopped on a pitch with Utah State, and the person I was talking to, I'm not going to mention the names, he starts off the pitch with, hey, we've never worked with any outside businesses before, so don't expect anything. And instantly I was like, okay, like his mindset on a no, but learning to pretty much move that no to a, okay, I can consider that, or, oh, let me think on it, is a different mind switch for not only myself and learning like my skills of sales, but also like convincing someone that this is a real service that people need. And it shows how much you're passionate about your own business when you start not taking no for an answer. So by the end of this interview and this pitch I had with Utah State, this person wanted the contact of my team at the University of Utah. They wanted kind of like my financials of how everything is laid out. I sent him my pitch deck as well, and he actually considered it. So it's just the situation that you're given. You're going to get no a lot, but figure out how to change that to a yes, and it's quite easy when you're passionate about it. Another thing that I would say I've always been pretty good at this is time management. This is another one that I'm starting to learn from a different aspect of time management, and that's relying on other people and their time. I am a very, set schedule guy. I like to do this at this time, meeting at this time, right? Sometimes that doesn't happen because so-and-so can't get back to me at this time, right? And being okay with that and figuring out how to pivot from a situation where you might have, in your mind something set, is definitely a skill that I'm working on. And being a little bit more flexible, I would say, is definitely a skill I'm currently learning. But yeah, there's always so many skills to learn. I could tell you like 10 different skills I learned from when I started this business that I didn't have to now.
Yeah,
That's so
that's
sick,
awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm honestly excited to see where this goes. We're gonna keep, checking and following up with your progress. I want to see where both of us maybe are a year from now, and do another one of these, and then so the viewers can kind of see where you're at as well. But yeah, Aiden, thank you for hopping on, man. It means a lot. Good to see you again.
Of course, of
This was
course.
episode 10,
You're sad.
guys. Yes, sir. I
Yeah.
appreciate you
If
guys watching, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
yeah, and if
Appreciate
any
you,
of you
Aiden.
guys ever want a haircut, search up
Go check out Leon's.
leonsbarbershop.com.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
leonsbarbershop.com. Check us out.